Thank you. First of all, thank you, Ricky, for that. And today we're going to talk about proactive money management and basically try to separate between what was done, what needs to be done, and what's really the right way to think about customer engagement. So we at Personetics, we work with some of the most biggest and innovative banks in the world, mostly in the United States and the European Union. And what we're able to do is to deliver to them cognitive capabilities that we really take engagement and make it strategic for the customers in a way that you get ROI, you get big numbers in terms of satisfaction, numbers that you can prove not just as a feature, but something that you can really implement in a massive way. Now, the focus of my few slides over here is to talk about the secret sauce. What makes a digital money management strategic versus not? And I'll talk about a few principles, show a few examples, and Joslan, my friend from BGL, will help me as well. So the first thing that I want to point out is that if you look at the work that was done already in PFM, there's a lot of work, right? And many banks took different direction, tried to go after PFM. But if you go back and think about how many great use cases there are out there, business cases with strong ROI, customer engagement, product adoption, increased share of wallet, there's not much there. And the question is why? So let's talk about a few quick principles. Number one, whatever you do that requires customer to do things, set up, sign up, change, adapt, things of that nature, it usually doesn't work. People do not think about this as a mission critical for their life. And usually what happens is that they drop in terms of utilization, and so you don't get the impact that you want to get in terms of your customer base. The second thing is spending, or maybe too much spending. You go around, you look at these capabilities, they're all very good. But you see that many of them, they just do spending. And now let's think about financial wellness, investment, refinancing. There's much more in banking than actually spending. And the question is, can you really take spending focused application and make from that a strategic engagement with customers? I think the third principle I want to actually look at is really the aha moments. If you just take data, if you just present it in a nice way, showing what happened yesterday, showing, oh, you did too much over here, too much over there, it doesn't really create this strong moment that the customer says, yes, this bank is doing something well, much stronger than what other people do. And I think that these couple of principles show, I guess, the direction of what Personetics is trying to bring to market. We believe in bit-sized information. We believe in things that are actionable. We think that if we can provide things that are forward-looking, insightful action, we can make big impact on the customer engagement. I'll show you a few examples. That's probably the best way to think about that. And what I'll do, I'll show you a few banks that have done a couple of interesting things. And of course, we'll start with spending. So in this particular example, you see a bank over here showing a spending insight. And yes, it's spending, but this spending is slightly different because what this bank is doing, they're recognizing that the customer just came back from a trip. They take all the spending that was done on that trip and they're showing it to the customer. So they recognize the pattern, they recognize the need. There's no setup, there's no goals or challenges, things of that nature, and just showing one number for the customer. That's a very simple but useful service for my consumer. In the second example, okay, that you're seeing over here, we see forward-looking insight. And what we're seeing over here is an example in which the bank is approaching the customer and is telling him, hey, Mr. Customer, based on what you usually do in the next 7 days, we think that you may have a problem. So think about this. You need to do a lot of heavy lifting in order to come back and say, this is what's important to do at this point in time. You need to be accurate. You need to be up to date. But if you can deliver that, you can now remove a fee, which is actually avoidable. And remember what Ricky said. There are fees that people may be ready to pay, and they are the ones that actually kill that engagement, kill that trust. And I think these type of things are really the ones that are going to move customers from regular customer into basically a strong customer in terms of NPS. My last example over here is this type of service offered by another bank. And what this bank is doing is offering its customers to open new saving accounts. But the difference over here is that when the saving account is being opened, a smart machine is running behind the scene and it's taking decision on its own. When is the right time to move money from account A into account B? And you'd be surprised how many customers have signed up to this type of program and how much money the machine was able to save in such a short period of time. Now again, think about spending, think about your trends, now think about this. This is the future of proactive digital management, because the idea over here that we can do things on behalf of the customers automatically, very, very quickly, to really take it to the next level. And the impact is also there. In this case study that was published by that bank, you're going to see clearly impact on engagement and impact on products. And I think that is something that is very hard to find in traditional PFM implementation. And again, to me, that's a winning proposition in terms of what type of system you need to actually put in. Also, let's not forget the impact on the customer satisfaction, the social buzz, the satisfaction level. So, bottom line, you have to be proactive, you have to be actionable, you have to take things into the next level, you have to bring things that people can really operate on, and the rewards are there. You just have to actually do the right things in terms of meeting customer expectation.
Thank you, David. So I'm going to talk to you about what we do at BNP Paribas, which is BNP Paribas in Luxembourg, with Personetics. Our goal is to engage customers through personalization thanks to Personetics. So just before that, so for you to understand how it works quickly, what is innovation at BNP Paribas? First, it's about business. We focus about business innovation. Our target is to improve the customer experience and to reinvent this customer experience every time. Second point, this business innovation is an accelerator. We are not a lab. We didn't want to create another lab that would make lots and lots of POCs, tests, and so on, and at the end, not deliver anything to the customer. So we accelerate the project thanks to innovation. Innovation is completely embedded into the business. Well, how we do that? We anticipate. At the very beginning of any project, and it was the case with Personetics, we work with compliance, IT, legal, security, every funny things. And why do we do that? Because we don't want to launch a test, have customers who test that very happy of it, and at the end, compliance or other ones saying, you know what, you don't have the right to do that. So we look at that first, and once we are sure that we can do this in production, we launch a test, and that's why we have a very high transformation rate between our test and industrialization. Of course, this is a test and learn approach, and that's why I will share some learnings at the end of my presentation. And last thing, in Luxembourg, we're a small country, and we position ourselves as a pilot as much as possible for other entities of the BNP Paribas group. And this is the case with Personetics. We were the first. It was honestly spotted by the group as a potential interest for lots of entities in the group, and Luxembourg was keen to test it as a pilot, for example, and now we are working on its industrialization. So why did we choose to work with Personetics? So I think you understood with what David just explained, but concretely we had a need which was really clear. First, create usage value for our customer on our digital channels. Secondly, improve engagement and advocacy. And finally, increase cross-sell also, because, well, we want to make money anyway. So an obvious solution for us was to personalize the banking relationship to do that. And so how do we do that? By pushing personalized insights, thanks to Personetics Engine, by increasing interactions with the customer, by being proactive when talking to him, and thus reaching financial well-being. So our customer journey with Personetics, as explained first, the hard things, production feasibility check with compliance and IT security, that everything was fine. It was. So we launched a test with 300 employees of the bank who are customers and who were volunteer for this test. And we were very happy with the result of the POC because of the pilots, because we just two KPIs that were really key for us. The engagement, so 99% of the insights that were pushed to these testers were opened. We were amazed by that. I didn't expect that. It was, the target was way below, so it was very, very good surprise. And second thing, the recommendation rates. We asked at the end of the pilot, very simple question to the users. Do you recommend or not to deploy this to all of our customers? And the answer was yes, for 75% of them. So it was a no-brainer whether we should continue or not, and that's what we are doing right now. I'm going to share some examples with you, and more than the examples, the user's feedback. So 3 examples. The first one here is about a deposit that the customer expects and that doesn't appear on its account. Well, if you don't follow your accounts on a daily basis, that's something you could miss. So this is a real customer feedback. All the feedback that you see here, it's real feedbacks that we had during the pilot. Concretely, what does it look like? Looks like this, and so that's also another feedback. Customers are very happy because if they didn't have this functionality, they would maybe have missed that and not acted as they should have. This is talking proactively to the customer about what he likes the best himself. Another example, when it happens, bonus or anything happens, you have a good surprise, unexpected deposit. That's a good surprise, but what do you do with it? You can spend part of it, you can save part of it, you can invest, but it's not obvious. Not everyone is a professional of finance, and so that's typically the good opportunity to propose a product to a customer at the difference with a traditional marketing campaign where you would target your customers as well as you can. But here, it is at the very moment when the customers has a need that we can propose the savings account, investment solutions, whatever that he needs at the right moment. And so once more, customers are very happy about that. Last example, which is my favorite, I must say, it's test your spending IQ. This is a quiz. And you engage with the customer, we engage as a bank with the customers by asking a simple question. How much do you think you spent last month on dining? How much do you think you spent on travel or whatever? That's the difference with traditional PFM, where you see the spend analysis, which is great. But here, it's a bit more fun and more engaging. And so either you know it, it's fine. Well, you are just confirmed that you follow your finances correctly, or you learn something, which is great for the customer. Once more, we talk about him, which is interesting for him. So I said I would share some key learnings with you regarding this project, because I think this is also why you are here today. And there are 3 of them. First thing is data. Of course, to do that, you rely on customers' data, transaction data, and so on. So you have to have this data in your systems. This may seem obvious, but this is really a key point at the very beginning of the project to look at your data and see with, that's what we made with Personetics, see what were the main data that Personetics was relying on. And, well, you may have surprises with some data that you think are here, but are not, so it's also a way to improve your systems. Second point, customer interest. As you know, customer interest protection is a regulation, but also it's something that we want to do. We don't want to sell product to the customers if they don't need it. So we worked with compliance and enhance for reviewing all the wording of the insights to make sure that we were in line with customer interest protection. And that's very interesting to have this constructive work with all the teams of the bank. Last thing, but not the least, is GDPR. Well, GDPR day was 10 days ago, and we are still, we are at the end of the project, but we anticipated that, and so GDPR, Personetics project in BGL was the first project in which we had to deal with GDPR. So lots of questions, as you may guess. Do we ask a consent to the customer? For what? Do we have to do that? Really, don't you think it is in our core business and we are relevant enough to do it? We have the right to do it, so lots of discussions, as you may guess, and so that is also something to be anticipated. Of course, you find solutions, and Personetics also is here to help. This is, of course, a common project, and at the end of the day, you will find a solution. So thank you very much for listening. If you have any questions, don't hesitate to contact me. Thank you.